Hey everybody, and welcome back to 3COG. Today's topic is everyday carry gear. Specifically, I'm going to talk about medical everyday carry gear. So understand that on my war belt setup, which I've done a video on before, I carry a full IFAK. But it's not necessarily realistic to always be carrying a full IFAK. Now, Warrior Poet Society does a really nice ankle rig with more equipment, and nothing against that at all. And if you want to carry more medical gear, then carry more medical gear. But at the very least, have a good IFAK in your car. Have access to it. So, but on my person, pretty much at any given point in time, I always have two pieces of medical gear. I carry a tourniquet and I carry combat gauze at all times. So, civilian clothes, uniform, it really doesn't matter. I've always got those two things on me. So, tourniquet that I carry is a CAT, combat application tourniquet, set up to be large enough for my leg, and I have the end of it folded over so that I can very easily grab it to rip it tighter. That is kind of an important note about how you set up your tourniquet. In civilian clothes, it goes in a cargo pocket. Yep, I am one of those guys pretty much always wearing tactical khakis or something like that, but just goes in a cargo pocket. And in my uniform, I normally wear it on my lowest left pocket. Be that my regular uniform or a combat uniform. So, tourniquet, combat application tourniquet. Again, I'm not a doctor. I have a decent amount of medical training. But get good training as well, because you can have all the coolest gear in the world, and if you don't know how to use it, well, you're screwed. The other thing is combat gauze. So combat gauze is quick clot impregnated gauze, and it's Z-folded, which means you can easily stuff wounds with it. So the point of combat gauze is to stuff a puncture wound, primarily a bullet hole, and you just stuff a whole bunch in there. And with a tourniquet and with combat gauze, you can handle quite a bit of pretty serious injuries. Now, depending where you're at, there can definitely be legal issues in terms of you rendering care to somebody else or whatever. So at the very least, I have this stuff on me to handle myself, my family, things like that. And puncture wounds are a thing that exist outside of the gunfighting world. It can also just be from a car accident. I actually just watched a really, really good video where the guy was talking about how he responded to a vehicle accident and 2 people died from preventable blood loss because they were trapped inside the cars and they couldn't get into them fast enough. And those people, having been conscious and ambulatory and still being able to use their hands, if they could have reached the tourniquet, they could have got a tourniquet onto their legs. And both of them died from femoral artery bleed out. So having a tourniquet is very, very important, and being able to reach it as well. Combat gauze, you just stuff it into the wound. It does a great job of stopping bleed outs as well. So those are 2 things that I carry on me pretty much all the time. Some people think it's overkill or paranoia. Well, the reality of me having to use some medical gear is greater than the odds of me having to use a gun, and I carry a gun pretty much every day. So links below where you can pick those items up. If you do use those links, it helps me out and I appreciate it. So thank you very much for watching. See you next time on 3COG.